First of all, we are truly grateful to have engineer technologist and Vela Anak Matthew uh, with us for this online interview. So this interview is part of our assignment, which is the Code of Professional Conduct in Engineering Ethics. And we are truly appreciate and your willingness to share your knowledge and experience with us. So thank you once again. And before we start with the interview session, uh, let me share screen first. So first, uh, please state your name, role, company name, and how long you have been practicing as an engineer.
Okay, so basically these are the questions, right? So if you're asking me about the first one, please state your name, roles, name, company, and how long have you been practicing the engineer. So my full name is Envela Anak Matthews.
My name is Muhammad Hafizuddin bin Bahrain. I'm a registered professional engineer in mechanical discipline. I'm also currently serving as a lead for boiler department in MSM Praya Berhad. And my responsibility is for the operation of performance and regulatory compliance for all our boilers in MSM Praya.
Good afternoon. So my name is Ma'ruf bin Muhammad. Current company is PTTEP Sarawak Oil Limited. It is the petroleum Thailand exploration production. And my role as a staff engineer for production operation. And I have been in the career for 15 years.
So the second question is, how familiar are you with BEM Code of Profession Conducts, and where did you first learn about it? Of course, that one, when you try to pursue for your professional engineer, I would say, you have to read. There's a not say thick. During my time, they book it as a book. You know, there's a book about it. It's not quite thick, but then it's quite lengthy to read. Okay, so that is where I learned about BM Code of Professional Conducts.
And next, question number 3. Does your company have a formal ethic policy or written policy procedures that reflect the BM code? If yes, how are they communicated to the staff?
Okay, we don't have the same name with
Dia masih solve
BEM,
lagi.
but MSM Pride do has a few policy, namely conflict of interest policy, code of business conduct and ethics policy, and also whistleblowing policy that is actually aligned with the professional engineering standard, such as BEM code of ethics. These are communicated through employee onboarding through HSE, which is Health, Safety and Environment Induction, annual integrity seminar done by our corporate governance team, training, compliance, acknowledgement, safety briefing, toolbox meetings, and internal audits. Policy document communicated also via email and also centralized folder. And always our engineers are reminded consistently of the responsibility, competency limits, confidentiality and duty of the core, which directly reflect to the BEM code.
In the solar energy, how does the ethical behaviors, for example, like safety, conflict of interest, confidentially, or professional competence, implemented and enforced day to day in your workplace?
Okay, if we say about the ethical behavior in terms of safety, of course, we are treated safety, okay, as the highest ethical priority, okay, and embedded in our daily operation. For example, the way they do is through the toolbox meeting before they conducted any works, and then we have the permit to work system to regulate the high risk activity. We also have the risk assessment and the job safety analysis, JSA. before any non-routine work. And then we have also mandatory use of the PPE and safety signage at the work area. And we need to report any incident or near miss reporting system in our station. And also like for the conflict of interest, every of the staff in Sarawak NG, you have to declare apa kata orang tu, to avoid any personal interest in your that can influence your business decision. Means that if you involved with certain tender, so you need to declare that the party that involved in the tender are not related to you.
For the number 5 question, can you give one recent concrete example where the BEM code or your company ethics policy directly influence a technical or managerial decision?
Okay. I give you one recent example occurred during our scheduled boiler maintenance. There's a contractor. However, his AESP, or we call it as authorized entrant and standby person certification for confined space work, was not fully compliant. So despite the urgency of the job and I need to resume the production, I have to make the decision to stop the work until the proper documentation and competency proof were verified. The decision is aligned with our BEM requirement for public safety, engineering accountability, and professional integrity. And this is towards prioritizing safety over our operational urgency.
Okay, I will take over the question asking. Uh, for the sixth question, what are the main ethical challenges engineer face in your industry or company, and how are they typically resolved?
All right. So my industry is the oil and gas company, oil and gas industry. So what we normally face uh, in terms of ethical is when the technical versus the safety. So to find a balance of the cost versus the safety, and to avoid the conflict of interest within the party. So for example, you are doing some project, and that project have the technical outlines, and the safety come in. Safety also want to impose their requirement, thus make the cost of the project rise up. So as an engineer, you need to find a balance. For myself, I need to find a balance between safety and also the technical requirement. Thus, if you're familiar with the word alap, as low as reasonably possible. So that's where we in the oil and gas industry always practice that.
Okay, for the seventh question, how does the company ensure engineers remain competent and honest when signing, stamping, drawing, or reports?
All right. So just to give a context for you guys, you are electrical, all of you is electrical engineer when you graduate later on. So electrical, when you pursue your electrical engineering practices as an electrical engineer, and you pursue your professional engineer in electrical, because that's only the discipline you can pursue anyway, because it relate to the degree. So if you are degree in electrical, then you will get the electrical professional engineer. So remain competent and honest when signing. So when you are electrical and you are specialized in certain sub-discipline, for example, power generation, protection, so you should consciously aware that that is your area. So you should not stem other than your expertise. So that's what I mean by what we call it, honest and competent when signing document.
Next is, in your opinion, what role should BM or professional bodies play to improve ethical practice beyond issuing the codes?
What roles plays to improve ethical practice beyond issuing the code? If you asking me, right, this kind of question, what roles of BEM. Actually, now BEM, I admit one things lah, okay? The engineer salary in Malaysia is quite low especially for the young graduated, okay? They're quite low in term of the market price. If you compare to your friends who are after they graduated, they get a job offer from Dubai, from Singapore, they're paid higher, you know. So that's why most of the engineer, especially if I recall correctly, the Chinese, they will migrate to another country just to get a higher salary. So for me, beyond this code, actually BEM should do a study lah, okay, to revise back or to promote that graduate engineer should pay higher lah in term, not what we got now, because if you what you have now, if you've been paid about 3,000, I don't think is a good market lah for you kan. Macam sometimes you will think that your friend work as a technician also can get 3,000, then you work harder to get your degree and you've been paid 3,000 is quite less lah. For me, beyond the code, beyond what FBBM do now, is they should emphasize the government itself. So that's our minimum salary for the young engineer higher than what we get now. Yeah.
Okay. For the ninth question, what benefit have you or your employer seen from following a professional code of conduct, trust, safety, reputation, and legal protection?
This is the basic of operation. So in my industry, we have a risk assessment and we have 4 pillars of the impact. We call it PAIR, PEAR. So people, environment, asset, and reputation. So while following the professional code of conduct in terms of trust, safety, reputation, legal protection. So when we do something, so we actually try to bring the risk to the alam that I said before, so that the people is safe, the environment is protected, the asset is okay, and our reputation is not tarnished. So that kind of benefit that I'm looking, because if you have success construction, success production at the expenses of safety, you won't be sustainable in the industry lah, because that safety will tarnish your image so severely until you cannot survive lah in the industry. Yeah, because when you want to join a project or you want to submit contract, then people know that your company already involved with severe or high impact HSE case, then your merit will already tarnish there lah. Maka dah konsep siap. It's not only impact you now, it will impact you in the long run, because that statistic will stay with the company or yourself to stay.
For the last question, what suggestion will you give to engineer indicator or BEM to make the code of conduct more practical and better adopted to by young engineer?
Okay. For me, my suggestion, either to educators or the BEM themselves, my recommendation is always to integrate the real industrial case study into the student learning condition. Okay. I also believe that it is compulsory for industrial exposure before attaining in IR or professional engineer status for these educators. Simulated ethical decision-making modules in university, BEM, industry mentorship matching for young engineers, simplified ethics handbook tailored to industry challenge thing. And I believe young engineers should learn the best through exposure, supervision, and face the consequence-based example in the industry, not only just the textbook alone.